Actually, the title is not entirely true. It was 2.5 years, walking 20,000 steps every day for 2.5 years. But that title just seemed a little, I don't know, too long. And if you're an accountant, there was one day, about 6 months in, when I actually missed 20,000 steps by 5 steps. I finished with 19,995 steps. Didn't realize it until weeks later. I think what happened was I forgot to check right before going to bed and was like, oops, look. So if you're an accountant, then the streak is only 2 years, not 2.5 years. But here's what I learned. By the way, it started in the middle of March 2018 and finished on August 31st, 2020. So that was my 2.5 year streak of walking 20,000 steps every single day. And I learned 5 things. Number one, that pre-decisions matter. So the heart of that 2.5 years was actually a 1 year public commitment to walk 20,000 steps every day and then post on Facebook and Instagram how many steps I had the day before and a picture from that day and maybe something that I learned. So the pre-decision was, regardless of what's going on, I'm walking 20,000 steps today. So I didn't wake up every morning and wonder, gee, how many am I going to get? And my attitude was simply, I'm going to figure it out. Whatever happens today, I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to reach 20,000 steps. That was the pre-decision, and it made all the difference in the world. There was the day that my wife had breast cancer surgery. And while she was in surgery, I was doing laps around the hospital parking garage. Not really very fun, but because I had already pre-decided that that's what I was going to do, I found a way. And that was huge. So that's number one. Number two, the emotions that I felt every day at the beginning, they would fluctuate. There were days when I was excited about reaching 20,000 steps and how I was going to do that. But there were also days when I didn't feel like it. I remember one day in particular, about 2 months after it started, it was cold and it was rainy and it was early afternoon and I still had a lot of steps to get. And I remember looking out the window thinking, what have I done? Why did I say I was going to do this? But because I had already decided that I was going to do it, I did it. And even though the emotions on the front end of every day fluctuated, they changed, what I felt at the end of the day, having reached that goal, was this sense of accomplishment and this deep satisfaction. And that never changed. And in fact, that actually became motivation on some days because I knew how I was going to feel once I was done. So that was the second thing I learned. The third thing I learned is that personal competition, challenging myself, competing against myself, is a huge motivator. I may not be able to compete against you and others, but I can compete against myself and set these personal challenges. And that became a huge motivational factor. And I've continued to do that, even though I'm not walking 20,000 steps every single day. Number four, I learned that I can do hard things. 20,000 steps every day for a year, for 2 years, for 2.5 years, that's hard. And I don't have a personal history of always leaning into the hard things of life. Sadly, there are things that got hard and I gave up. I quit. I failed. But for 2.5 years, I did a hard thing every single day. And what a feeling that is, that knowing that you can do hard things. Then when it gets hard, you're not quitting. You're not leaving. You're not going in the other direction. So that was number four. Number five, the fifth thing I learned, was that I felt strong. Not just physically. I mean, obviously the impact, the fitness impact of walking that many steps every day was huge. But emotionally and mentally, I felt strong. And that felt good. So you may be wondering, well, why did this 2.5 year, 20,000 steps every single day streak end? How did it end? I wasn't hurt. I wasn't injured. I wasn't sick. I simply decided, because this thing was getting too big and it was starting to control my life, I thought, this needs to end. I don't want this fitness activity to control me, but instead be something that I'm using in my pursuit of health and wellness. And so I made the decision, wasn't easy, but I made the decision to bring it to an end. Now, here's the thing, you don't need 20,000 steps every single day. You don't even need 10,000 every day. 10,000 is a good goal, but you don't need that, particularly if you're just getting started on a brand new fitness journey and you've made the decision that you're going to walk every day. My recommendation is that you walk every day, that you make a commitment to walk every day for 10 minutes. I'd also like to invite you to listen to a podcast that I do. It's called Walking is Fitness. It's a daily 10-minute podcast that I record while I'm out walking. It takes, on average, about 66 days to build a habit. Make a commitment to walk 10 minutes every day for 90 days. At the end of 90 days, you'll have your own streak, your own fitness chain, as I like to call it, and you'll probably also have a fitness habit. So join me for a daily 10-minute walk. The podcast, again, is called Walking is Fitness. Thanks for watching, and hope to have a 10-minute daily walk with you coming up real soon.